Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Living on Lemonade podcast. As always, I'm your host, Lauren. Happy Family Day to those who live in provinces that recognize it. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I am a little bit behind with recording. It is Monday, mid-afternoon. I'm in between night shifts, and that part of me considered skipping, and I said no because I have a little gem to share with you today, and I will be mindful of the time because I don't want to have a super long episode and I need to lay down for night shift again. All right, I think for the next little bit, I have started taking some actions on other things I want to bring out into the world, so stay tuned for that. I'll talk about it a little bit at the end. But I think for now, just with the additional responsibilities that I have with family and helping my mom and helping her with Darla. Darla just had her second surgery, and her follow-up appointment is on Wednesday to get her stitches out. So she is cancer free. We're super excited about that, but it has required me to be down at my mom's more often on days off and in between stuff. So I haven't had as much opportunity to make time to do the things that I want to do for this podcast, like recording meditations and stuff. I need to get organized and plan out a few topics. If you have any ideas, feel free to message me if there's something that you think would be helpful. I'm always open to ideas. Okay, so yeah, so the next little bit, I think it'll just be kind of like a weekly chat in what has happened over the past week and the nuggets of wisdom that I have acquired through mindfulness in my situation. Now, this last week has been it's a goodie, not a goodie in the middle of it, the lesson of it, and in the metaphor of what the last week has been. So last Monday, when I was down at my mom's, I started, excuse me, I started feeling some ear pain. We took my grandma out that day, took her to the casino, out for dinner, had a nice visit. And by that evening, it was very uncomfortable. We were watching TV and I ended up having to take Advil and I didn't have a great sleep. The next day, it was starting to get worse. Now, I am no stranger to ear infections. I've had many. I can sometimes get them under control, which is what, getting over-the-counter drops or whatever. Sometimes you gotta go to, your doctor or walk in or emerge. My doctor is 2 hours away, so for something that needs to be treated very quickly, I'm obviously going to seek other options than making an appointment because I can never get in very quickly anyway. Okay, so with that, I had a decision to make. Now, there was a pharmacy that had a nurse there that could deal with some of those stuff, but all the appointments were taken on that Tuesday. And I had to get home that day at some point because I think sorry, I'm just blanking a little bit on like the days of the weeks. I sometimes lose that. Did I go home? Yeah, I went home Tuesday. Sorry. I had to like recall that because I knew I had my quilt class Thursday. But anyway, I did need to go home Tuesday because I wanted to get some stuff done Wednesday, and then I had my quilt class Thursday. So the appointment didn't work out, and so I'm kind of trying to decide, do I just go to Emerge? Do I go to Emerge in the town beside where I live, or try and make an appointment with the walk-in? And by this point, the pain's it's not the worst that it got, but it wasn't good. And I was very resistant to it. So what I did is I went to the pharmacy, I bought some over-the-counter drops, and I thought, I'll start on that. It'll get it under control. It's fine. while trying to manage the pain. I had a very broken, painful, not fully sleepless night, but I definitely didn't rest well that night. That was Tuesday overnight into Wednesday, and pretty much useless Wednesday. There were things I wanted to do. I wanted to get groceries, etc. And just felt like I was chasing my pain the whole day. I was switching between Tylenol and Advil, and it felt like I was popping them like candy, which I don't like to do, but I was in so much pain that I didn't know what else to do. By mid-afternoon, I finally decided I need to, I, I'm not going to be able to get ahead of this. I need to go have my ear looked at. So I surrendered. I went to Emerge instead of the walk-in because I had, as much as I don't like the idea of Emerge, and I've had many long wait times in the past. This one that I go to, it's only 5-10 minutes away, and I think the whole experience was like 3 hours. And I think it was the same the last time I had an ear infection. It was kind of in and out, and that all included. That was basically like leaving home to be coming home with prescription, either drops or antibiotics and stuff. So I went, and it was pretty quick to get in. I did warn the doctor. I said, my ear is incredibly sore and tender. Please be very gentle. So he did. And he didn't have to put the probe in very long and look around. He said, your ear canal is almost swollen shut. We're going to start you on IV antibiotics first before we get you oral antibiotics. And I had a bit of a moment of like, whoa, that's pretty wild. That was the first time I'd ever had an IV and never needed antibiotics like that badly. I did have an ear infection a few years ago, just as I was finishing up at the Coast Guard College. It was on the brink. He said, it's pretty bad. I'm going to give you these heavy duty. I think he gave me maybe two oral antibiotics. I can't remember. But didn't need IV that day, and I did last Wednesday. So that was an experience. I was very nervous to get the IV, but it went okay. And just a little trick, I've talked about this before, I think. I learned this from my piercer when I got like my nose and my tragus pierced and stuff, kind of those more, what can be a little bit more painful. Is that he encouraged me to take a full breath in and exhale while he pierced. And now, like doing the deep dive into the nervous system work that I'm doing, I understand why that is. And it's actually very helpful too, because then you're focusing on the exhale, because oftentimes when we feel pain, we want to hold our breath. If you do yoga and you're in a particularly kind of uncomfortable pose, it shouldn't be painful. You should ease out of it if there's actual pain. But if you're in a down dog and you're unpracticed like I am, it gets uncomfortable, or a plank, because it's just like, oh my gosh, my body's like, my arms are shaking. I need to build up my strength. But holding your breath doesn't serve you. You have to breathe through the discomfort. So anyway, that's a side thing. So I get the IV antibiotics. He writes me a script for it was the pharmacist actually, but for a script for oral antibiotics I have to take for 10 days and drops. So then I head over to the pharmacy that's just down the street, and the pharmacist calls these antibiotics horse pills. They're massive, and I have to take them with food twice a day. Drops are twice a day as well. And yeah, so the next probably, I would say, under 48 hours, the pain really subsided, but I was still trying to manage it within that time. And mainly like I was using heat a lot. So another couple, just I'll just talk a little bit about my experience within like the wisdom that I got. I was using a beanbag thing with heat, but I was leaving it too long. So essentially, heat will help to draw out the fluid in your ears, but it shouldn't be too hot. I was probably putting it on too hot. It should have been just warm, and I was leaving it too long. Heat will encourage inflammation. So it was actually like causing more swelling and inflammation in my ear, because what was happening is I was having a hard time getting the drops in because the inner canal was so inflamed. So I was trying to do it and it's like running down the side of my face, and I had to ask my husband, like, can you put the drops in? I don't know why I all of a sudden can't put eardrops in. I've been doing it for many years. And no, it's just because it was too swollen. So then I was starting to put ice, like an ice pack or a gel pack from the freezer. I wrap it in a towel. I just have one of my Norwex hand towels and just leave it on there. I also found that because I was leaving the heat on too long, that it was causing my ear to throb and it was more painful. So again, that's a clear indicator there's more inflammation there. So then needing the cold to bring it down. So cold will constrict blood vessels, it will reduce inflammation. So what I started doing is putting the cold on first to kind of restrict things, open things up, in terms of like reducing the inflammation so the canal actually opens up a bit, and then putting a little bit of warmth, not too hot and not too long, just to draw out the fluid or encourage it to start moving. The other thing I looked up online, I found a YouTube video that shows how to massage kind of the sinus area. So if you're watching the YouTube channel, it's basically like kind of the front of the ear, and then you bring it past like the front tragus part down, and you're just following kind of the neck and behind the ear, bringing it down. So you're just encouraging things to move down, drain into the throat. I could feel that. And then I didn't have like immediate relief of fluids draining, but after a little bit, I massage it for a bit. You could put like an essential oil just to make it less drag on your skin. So it's just a little, you're kind of massaging in like a massage oil. I used my Norwex Rescue Gel as well, which is awesome. And after a while, it felt like things had kind of started loosening up a little bit and encouraging. And then I was able to pull down on my earlobe to try and again open up that canal a little bit, and I could feel that kind of popping crinkly, like you could tell there's a pressure change there. And a couple of times, and I would, it's very tender, so you have to be very gentle, but just enough to try and encourage it to open and drain out a bit. And I did have some relief there. My husband had to grab me a Kleenex. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's coming out. And then it was helpful for putting the drops in. Few days later, I think I'm on day 5 or whatever, the antibiotics. I'm pain free. I haven't had to have pain meds in a couple days. I have had some kind of woozy, not like fully dizzy, but just the best term I can use, and I've used it for different things too, is like airy fairy. Like my head just doesn't feel quite right. I feel like my equilibrium was off just a little bit. I wasn't like stumbling or anything, just my head didn't feel right. One of the best ways, if you wear glasses, one of the best ways I can describe it, part of the experience, is when you get a new prescription and your eyes are adjusting to the new strength of your glasses, and you just feel a little bit off because your eyes are kind of um yeah, they're kind of shifting and changing and adjusting. You feel a little bit like your depth perception might be a little bit off or whatever. That's probably the best way I can explain part of that experience. And then at times it was creating a bit of a nausea, which again can be linked to the imbalance of the equilibrium. When you have a bit of vertigo or whatever, you can have some nausea. So navigating that as well and just kind of breathing through it. And also because of the pain and the tightness in the side of my face by my ear, my jaw, I was eating a lot of soup, and I had mac and cheese one night. Just I couldn't do a lot of chewing, so that probably didn't also help my maybe blood sugar or whatever, like just not having like solids to digest and stuff so much. So I think it was just kind of a perfect storm. But getting to the point of what I was talking about, and I hope that there's a few little pointers in there if you end up navigating an ear infection or something of the like that you're experiencing. It feels familiar, and the hot and the cold, um yeah, the different little tips can help you. But what I realized is, in metaphorically, is what we resist persists. And in life, we cannot we cannot grow, we cannot change things if we continue to sit in whatever situation we're in. And the truth is, we don't grow when things are comfortable. And at the same time, if we're meant to take action, make change on something, like I was meant to go to emerge, the situation wasn't going to get better just because I was stubborn and didn't want to, God forbid, go sit and emerge. And then the dread of the anticipated pain of the doctor putting the probe in my ear to look, which I obviously knew was going to be painful, and he was going to see inflammation there. However, the only way that I was going to get better, the only way that I was going to actually get out of that pain, out of that discomfort that was kind of closing in on me and getting worse and worse as I resisted the action to make things better, it kept getting worse, and it wasn't serving me, right? I was miserable. I didn't get anything done. I wasn't sleeping. I was in pain. I was popping Tylenol and Advil, which isn't great for our organs and our digestion. And it wasn't until I finally surrendered and said, I can't take this anymore. I have to Something has to change. I have to change what I'm doing, because what I'm doing isn't creating the results that I want or I need. And I think that says so much about life. And when we are stuck in a situation, it has to become almost like, sometimes, unless we're very mindful of it and we can catch it early and just know that we're going to go down a path, and like, why cause our own suffering, even though oftentimes we still end up doing that. But I think as humans, we avoid pain, but at the same time, the unknown can be painful in a sense, because we don't know what we're walking into in terms of like changing parts of our life. So we have to, it becomes this tug of war, I guess, between what's more uncomfortable and painful right now, the current situation and the stagnation of what we're repeating in our beliefs, our thoughts, our behaviors, our feelings, and then how we end up actioning those things out and creating a reality, or stepping into the unknown, stepping into the fog and taking one step at a time into a place that we don't know exactly where we're going, but we're taking the actions towards it and trusting that the fog will eventually lift and we'll have clarity soon. So that was a metaphorical thing for me this week, in the reminder that perhaps I don't need to cause my own suffering for so long, but also sometimes we have to get so sick of the discomfort or the pain that we're in. That's what actually launches us into doing things differently. So it came to, for me, in the literal sense, the pain became so much. The pain in my ear became so much that I would rather sit and emerge and have a doctor stick a thing in my ear, and then after get poked with a couple needles. They ended up giving me a shot in my other arm for inflammation, because I asked if they had any pain, something they could hook up to the IV just to help with the pain and make me more comfortable, because by that point I had been really battling pretty bad pain for about 48 hours. So I just wanted some relief from it. Not like I'm saying, oh, hook me up with some morphine. I just needed something to kind of take the edge off so that I could finally have some relief. Because another thing that I learned, and this was when my mom had hip surgery, is when our body is healing from something, especially something traumatic like surgery. Obviously, like, this wasn't dire yet. Obviously, it wasn't great because I had to have IV antibiotics. But when our body is healing after something traumatic, it is very important that we have pain management. And the reason for that is our body, because pain puts our body into fight or flight. So then that increases inflammation. When our inflammation is increased, we can't heal because it's like it's trying to put out the fire, but not really actually looking at the source to heal it. So the important thing about pain management is when we can control our pain, it reduces the inflammation. Our body can actually focus on what it needs to do, and that's heal. I know for me, I am resistant to taking, I don't want to be on a bunch of Advil for a while. I know that it's not great for our body, but at the same time, my body can't heal if it's in pain. And that's the same with like post-surgery. So if you have surgery and you're resistant to taking the meds and you want to just kind of push through it, your body really, you can talk to your doctor, but your body really needs that in the initial for like those first few days are the most crucial, right? And then you can start to back off as your body starts to reduce the inflammation and start to heal. Then obviously you can back off of the pain meds as quickly as you can and what's comfortable. But in those first few, don't be a hero. Give your body what it needs to fight to heal, and you can always put in breath work along with that. There's different breath work techniques that release endorphins from the brain, and different hormones that interact with our pain receptors and help to control pain. That's why some women can give birth naturally through breath work and not feel the pain that they would if they weren't doing the breath work. So super interesting. At the end of the day, what we resist persists. Sometimes we have to have incredible pain in our life, metaphorically or physically, before we make the change the route to a better outcome. And that was a big one for me. So I hope everyone's doing well. In terms of what's coming up, I did want to talk about that really quickly. I do have our soul care hour is this Thursday. So if you're listening to the podcast pretty quickly after it's released, it's going to be on Zoom because Facebook doesn't do rooms anymore. So it's like via the Living on Lemonade Facebook page, but it's held on Zoom. It is not recorded. It's an opportunity to hold space for each other, to feel community, to hang out for an hour. Bring a project. I've been working on a little baby blanket, crocheting it. So I might bring that and just crochet as we chit chat. It's called Care Hour, and it's really just about setting time aside, being intentional and setting time aside to interact with like-minded people, have that community, work on a project. You want to paint your nails or do a face mask or something like that, whatever that kind of looks like. Spend an hour with your soul and some others. And that will be Thursday at 8 p.m. The Zoom link is in the Living on Lemonade Facebook group. If you're not on Facebook and you're interested, send me a message through Instagram, or I don't know, comment on this if you're not on Instagram, like find a way to find me. My email address is Lauren, LAUREN .Gilhula, GILHULA @hotmail.com. If that's the best for you, I can send you the Zoom link. We're going to hang out Thursday at 8 p.m. Now I have something coming down the pipes. I have not released an offer and like ran it through in like year and a half. I don't know how that's happened. I've kind of launched things and I just wasn't, I think I was putting the cart before the horse. I just wasn't fully ready to do the things. And now I'm doing it from the right energy and the right intention and all of the things. So I have a paid offer coming down the line. I think I'm going to talk about it first on Thursday during Soul Care Hour. And then I'm going to start talking about it in the Living on Lemonade group and in my Norwex VIP group and in my stories and on my personal page. It's to So we've been doing this 8-week self-care series. So it's kind of an extension. It's a natural progression to that 8 weeks on different self-care pillars. I'm very excited. I love the topics. I did some journaling last night. to just get clear on like what are my intentions, what do I want to bring into the world and serve others with, and just yeah, hold space for and work with. So this is I'm very excited about it. It's topics I'm passionate about, I'm well versed, I've embodied, and it will start in March. So that's coming up. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Hope to see some of you Thursday night, perhaps, if you hear or see this, if you hear this before Soul Care Hour. And I think I'll do them monthly. We'll see how they go. Um, yeah, we'll see how they go. So I'm just kind of testing it out. There's always, as I develop this brand, it's evolving, right? So things change. I try different things. It's been fun so far. Anywho, I'm gonna go lay down, time for bed, and I hope everyone has a wonderful whatever time of day it is, and we will see you inside the next episode. Bye, everyone.